Welcome to today's episode of McGill Minute. My name is Toni Shope, the Director of Marketing here at McGill. Today, we are going to dive into Parks and Recreation Trust Fund and how it is shaping communities across North Carolina. Our guest speaker for today is LuAnn Bryan. LuAnn is a project consultant on McGill's land planning and recreation team. She started her career as a park ranger. She was actually the fourth female park ranger in the state of North Carolina. Over the course of her career, she's worked in multiple recreation positions, spanning from greenway planner to recreation director. These positions have afforded her the opportunity to work on a variety of projects, including master plans, trail design, pocket parks, school parks, downtown parks, major athletic complexes, aquatic facilities, and recreation centers. So welcome, LuAnn. We're glad you've joined us today.
Thanks, Toni. I'm really glad to be here with you today.
Before we jump into the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund, let's learn a little bit more about you. So you've dedicated your career to parks and recreation. So tell us about this passion and why you love what you do.
Well, Parks and Recreation is, to me, the life of every community. If you've got a strong Parks and Recreation department, you've got a strong, vibrant community. And I have thoroughly enjoyed helping communities come to life with developing their first park, which doesn't happen as often anymore, to developing and renovating parks and meeting the needs of all the citizens. It's very inclusive. It is my life passion. I love helping people, and I love helping them through Parks and Recreation.
That's great. I couldn't agree with you more on that. It's the life of every community. So how have you seen the industry change over the span of your career?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Playgrounds used to be on just the grass or sand, and now we have surfacing for protection. The equipment has truly changed in my lifetime, from just swings and seesaws. The playgrounds now today are unbelievable. They are accessible for everyone, and they have some of the coolest, like the geotech stuff and the slides and the ropes portions of it. I really, really like what our playgrounds have changed. The technology of Parks and Recreation has truly, truly changed. You go in a park now, you can get a QR code, download, and do a park course, which are exercise stations along a trail. Trails have become really big. Walking is the number one preferred activity across the nation. And walking trails, walking tracks, exercise courses along them are really, really big now. We've watched disc golf, which is a Frisbee. And remember when the Frisbee was developed, I think it was in the 60s is when I remember first seeing them. And our career, we've got so many more professionals. We're trained. We go through certifications. It's truly, truly evolved into a true profession.
Do you have a favorite project that has shaped your career?
Favorite project? There's so many to choose from. There are little projects, like one little small town, 100 people got their very first park. And the people were so excited and working with that little town board. That was really good. And then you have some really large projects where you're really impacting a huge community and you're providing so many activities at one park. Let's say you've got an 80-acre park and you can hit every population. It can be passive and active. Active being like athletic fields, ball fields, passive being parks, picnicking, golf, open space. One favorite project, I'd hate to even choose one, but I will say what brought me to Parks and Recreation was Craven County. When they first started their Parks and Recreation department, the director hired me. Of course, it was a volunteer position to coach girls basketball. And I found out about a recreation department and all it could offer. And that's why I majored in Parks and Recreation.
I know for so many communities, it's about getting funding assistance to move their projects forward. So you've played an integral role for so many communities in obtaining PARTF, or better known as Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grants. So tell us, what is the PARTF program and why has it been so transformative for so many communities across North Carolina?
PARTF is the first grant that has been given out by the state for Parks and Recreation that is state monies. It started in 1996. and I was hired on, and I administered some of the very, very first grants all the way till I retired. And now I'm still assisting with McGill. Parks and Recreation Trust Fund is a 50-50 matching grant, which allows a community to leverage their funds to double their money to create a park for their or any type of facility, or renovate a park, or buy land for a park for their communities. It has really been a game changer in North Carolina. We are looked at as a model. Other states look at us and go, wow, we need to do that. It was 20 years in coming. It took a lot of lobbying and a long time to be able to get the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund bill passed, which was passed unanimously in the House and Senate. And once we had that, we have money to help develop. And they came up with the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund Authority to administer the project. And then they contracted with NC State to run Recreation Resources Service to administer the grants. And that's what I did for 20 years. I worked in the western part of the state with 32 counties, and then I did 30 counties in the east. It's really, really impacted. The benefits of Parks and Recreation for communities has grown, and PARTF has played a tremendous role.
I read on their website, I think they're celebrating the 25th year of the fund.
So it's been fun. I mean, I was there at the meetings when they were first getting people to come in and sign and support the bill before it was actually funded. I attended those. So I've been a part of this ever since the inception.
Are there types of projects that are eligible?
Yes, there are. You can do land acquisition. You can do park development, park renovation, or combination of park development and renovation. You can acquire land, but you have to develop it within 5 years. It has to be accessible to the public. The one thing about the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund is when we help you acquire land, it has to be in perpetuity, forever and ever, amen, as a public park for the citizens. So that is really a strong hold for PARTF, which is really good. I love it when we acquire land because I know we're going to have parkland as long as the community exists.
So the deadline for the 2022 applications is quickly approaching on May 2nd. Do you know how much money is being allocated?
It's not set in stone. The best I have read from looking at the budget and this reading is about $18.5 million. Now that could change. It's all subject to change. It's not finalized, but I'd say we've got about $18.5 million for this year.
Can you tell us what all is involved in the application process?
The application process, it takes about a year, at least a year. The first thing that the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund look at is planning. The authority thought planning was more important than anything else. So if you look at our score sheet, the first thing is planning. So a comprehensive plan, which is a system-wide plan looking at all the parks within your community, that is what you need, a comprehensive plan. And from that, you go, okay, we've got a comprehensive plan for our town. Now we're going to build one park. Okay, I'm going to call it Toni Park because you're Toni. So we're going to build Toni's Park. So we're going to do a site-specific master plan just for that park itself and decide how we're going to build it. What happens there is you get a lot of public input. The big thing is going to your citizens, doing a needs assessment. You do an inventory of what's there in your community, what the needs are, and how to meet them. So that's what's really important. And public involvement is huge with the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund. And so the scoring system reflects the importance of planning and public involvement. And that's something that McGill, we're really good at that. I'm just going to say our going out and meeting with the citizens, doing preference board surveys, public focus group meetings. I do that with our group and I thoroughly enjoy it. And that's the essence of starting your project is your planning and your public input. Once you get through that, you've got to figure out what you're going to go for. What part of the site-specific master plan what elements are you going to choose to apply for? Then you've got to get your budget. Then we do our environmental analysis and you meet with civic groups. If you have a capital improvement plan that's part of your budgeting process, you make sure this project is in it for the next 5 years. So it involves some of your local government. If you've got a Parks and Recreation advisory board, you involve them. My advice is if you've got a year to work on this and you've already got a comp plan, that's great. If not, we can do a comp plan and a site specific within a year. Comp plans are good for 10 years. That's what PARTF says. And the site-specific plan, I think, is 10 years also. So you want to make sure you get your planning done. So you can take 1 year to do your planning and the next year to apply. It takes time, but the application process is very involved, but it's nice to have McGill to help you go through there. Usually it's a joint effort. We put the application together with the assistance of the community and talk with them because we want to make sure we're doing exactly what they're looking for as far as what elements, and then we do the cost, we do the site plan, site vicinity maps, environmental review, and the biggest thing is the justification sheet, the project justification and description. That's the one page that describes why you should be funded. We call it the Why Fund Me page, okay? So if you want to be funded, we will help you write that, but it's really good to have the heart and soul of the community in it.
So I was going to ask you if it was too late this year to start the process, but I believe you answered that for us. Well, what advice do you have for a community that might want to start thinking about what they need to do to move it forward for 2023?
Call us today and let's get started. Let us see what plans you have or what plans you don't have, what project you have in mind, and let's get started today. The sooner, the better. I like a year out. And within a year, I can help you have a very, very strong application. And strong applications are more likely to be funded. But once again, there's no guarantees because it's a part of authority decides who is funded and who isn't. But having a high score, high strong planning, strong public involvement really help you with your project.
So what tips would you give a community to help them build a strong application?
Number one, know what your needs are. The first thing you need to do is do an inventory of what you have, what's provided privately as well as public, and what do the citizens need. Do a survey. The very first thing is find out what your citizens want and need. It may not be what you think you want and need. Things change. Pickleball, we had never heard of pickleball 10 years ago. It is big. Everybody wants pickleball. Ultimate frisbee, disc golf, skateboard parks. It all varies. It depends on your community. It really depends on your community. And there's no set elements or amenities. Everybody used to think of Parks and Recreation as baseball, softball, basketball. That's all it was. It's not. It includes the arts. It includes culture. It includes pottery classes. It includes a total community center and everything within it. It can vary for what your community wants. The biggest thing is to find out what the needs are in your community and then how to address them. What can you afford to do with Parks and Recreation Trust Fund assistance? And then start going forward.
So I'm hearing you talk a lot about planning, citizen engagement, and budgeting. Sounds like those are three really big items to build a strong application.
I would suggest that you look at the environmental aspects of your property and make sure that it's okay environmentally. Look at it for cultural resources. Cultural resources and environmental concerns can restrict your, development, particularly in the West and on the coast. And on the coast, we got to work with CAMA. We help you with CAMA applications also, but the Coastal Area Management Act really restricts coastal development, and that's really important if you've got waterfront property. So there, and we can help you go through that. McGill's, we're strong with that, so we can help guide you through that.
So how do you and the team at McGill help communities in this process?
Well, it's Mike, Jim, Curtis, and myself and Carrie, and we work together as a team and help you with your community engagement. We help you with your assessment, your inventory, surveys. We look at it environmentally. There's an environmental team out in Hickory, and that team, they do the environmental review for us and check it. And we work with cultural resources to check those sites. So we will help you and hold your hand and walk you through the processes that are needed and hopefully be successful with your grant application.
Now I can understand why you need to start planning a year in advance for this grant application process. Our time is up for today. Thank you, LuAnn, for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us. For all of those tuning in, as a reminder, McGill is here as a resource for you. Our team will be more than happy to schedule a meeting with you to discuss your needs and explore grant opportunities. Be sure to reach out at info@mcgillassociates.com or check out our website. Thank you.